How's everyone doing? Today I got a mystery box right here, the good old red box of mystery. These are from 20th Century Fox. I marked out my name, or my address right there, but there's my name. YouTube Absolute Sublime 1, that's me. And yeah, all these red boxes of mystery, I never know what's in here. They're all from 20th Century Fox. They're usually like 3 weeks to a month previously released. So hopefully there'll be some good titles in here, but I'm gonna kind of do this as a surprise. I haven't looked in here yet, so let me know if you've seen any of these movies or possibly TV shows and what you think of them, and let me know what your favorite pickup from this red box of mystery is, or the favorite title, I guess, because I didn't really pick them out. These are all ones that I'm not aware of, so let's go ahead and check them out. I love this too. Every time I see this red box, I'm like, it's Christmas. Alright, I'm gonna try to might as well go ahead and look. Alright, bang, there's some 4K titles right there on the top. I'll go ahead and get onto this one first. Murder on the Orient Express, an Agatha Christie adaptation. And I did see this one. Johnny Depp is the lead. A really good cast here. Penelope Cruz, Willem Dafoe, who I love Willem Dafoe. Let me know what your favorite Willem Dafoe movie is. For me, I loved him as the kind of nihilistic counterfeiter in To Live and Die in L.A. That's probably one of my favorites from him, but he's done so many great roles. Judi Dench, Michelle Pfeiffer, Josh Gad. I'm not a big fan of him. And this is directed by Kenneth Branagh, who's done some Shakespearean, historical stuff, you know, Hamlet, Henry V. And he also did Thor. And now he's doing this one right here. But I remember there was the Sidney Lumet one from '74, I believe, with Albert Finney as the lead detective, Poirot and Hercule, however they pronounce it. And I remember who else was in there: Anthony Perkins, Sean Connery, Lauren Bacall, Ingrid Bergman, a whole bunch of just slew of great actors and actresses back then. And they're doing the same thing where there's a bunch of recognizable people here. But this one to me just felt so manufactured. When they do the reveals, it just feels like it lackluster, it loses that impact. And then at the very end, it just comes together and you're just like, meh. I mean, it was decent. It's it's passable for the time. The cinematography was beautiful. The score was excellent. Very stylistic. I love some of the camera shots. But overall, to me, it lacked that impact. I know there was a made-for-TV version as well with Albert Molina in there as the lead. But yeah, this one to me, I wanted more from it. It just didn't have that impact. It felt very manufactured. I like the actors. They did what they could with their roles. And I like the, it's formulaic. You know what's going to happen. But this one to me felt more so than previous other murder mystery kind of ones. But I did like some other supporting cast people too that aren't necessarily as well known, but I've seen them in other things, and it was good to see them in here as well. Besides some of the big name people on here. I'm not a Josh Gad fan, but his role was he played that role pretty decently. But yeah, overall to me, it just wasn't the best. It was okay to me, average I would say. It had such, it was such a lush scenery with the train and the setting and the snow and all of that, and all the costume design, all that. It had the really good authentic feel for the time, but I don't know, just wanted more. Looking forward to checking out the special features on here. A lot of times I feel like some of these movies, the special features are more interesting than the actual movie. But I do like the foil effect on the slipcover. I don't know if that's picking it up on here or not. It doesn't appear to be picking it up, but it does have a foil effect to the slipcover, which is nice. And next up, another 4K title, which is another one that I was a little bit disappointed in. I love snowy setting movies, and to me this was basically a Nicholas Sparks movie in the mountains. There are plane crashes, there are strangers before this, Idris Elba and Kate Winslet, and she's getting ready to get married, and he says that he's married, but obviously it unravels. I thought that was predictable too. The whole movie is very formulaic. But there felt like there was no chemistry there between the two, and that was one of the biggest things. It felt very wooden, felt very forced. Again, it just didn't work for me. That was the biggest issue. And again, there were some cliches big time, especially at the very end. That scene just was cringeworthy. I hated that. I loved my best. Again, the snowy setting was beautiful. The showing of the actual mountains, and my favorite character in here was the dog. Every scene I was like, "Where's the dog? What happened to the dog? They better not kill that dog." I was just like, to me, that was the best character right there. Again, they're both really good actors. They just didn't seem to have that chemistry. It didn't work. It just didn't feel natural. It felt a little too. I don't know. I wanted more from this. It's a survival movie that, you know, she keeps getting injured and hurt, and he has to keep helping. He's a doctor, a brain surgeon to be precise. But yeah, I don't know. It felt like drawn out in certain parts. I felt like they could have done a little bit more. I don't know. I just felt, even with him, like he gets injured at the end, and so he was able to take care of her the whole time, and it just. I don't know, it was too formulaic, it was too cliche, and they didn't have the chemistry. That was the thing that really killed it for me. It's beautiful to look at. I don't know, I wanted more from it again. This is another one, but I do want to check this one out on 4K Ultra HD to see how it looks, especially the establishing shots and the scenery and the cinematography. So I'll be watching it again for that aspect of it. But yeah, I don't know the backstory, how they were on set, but it just didn't feel like they had chemistry, and that was one of the biggest drawbacks. And again, some cliche aspects to it as well. And yeah, I don't know, for a survival movie, it just didn't feel that. At certain parts it did, but then the rest of it just felt like a little drawn out. They're walking through the snow a bunch. They're sleeping here, sleeping there. I don't know. There could have been a little bit more, I just think. But next up, I'm excited for this. I wish this would have been the 4K Ultra HD version, but I'm still happy to have this because this is one of my favorite movies of the year, and that is Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. And I basically called I did my Oscar prediction video on here, and I called that Sam Rockwell and Frances McDormand would win, and deservedly so for both. I like Woody Harrelson a lot too, great actor, but Sam Rockwell, I really loved him in Moon too. But he was excellent here. I love where he started in the movie and where he ends up in the movie, as far as, especially in relation to Frances McDormand. But basically it's about her daughter who was killed, and she basically feels like the police officers in the town aren't doing enough, so she rents out these 3 billboards, and she basically puts a very direct message on there, and it kind of shows the town's people and how they feel and how they react, and the police as well, and small towns, small minds aspect is what they say. But man, the powerful performance from Frances McDormand and Sam Rockwell. I like Woody Harrelson a lot too. His performance was excellent. But Frances McDormand was just a powerhouse right there. But definitely one of the best movies of the year. And this is directed by Martin McDonagh, who seems to definitely prefer working with Colin Farrell. He worked with them in Seven Psychopaths and In Bruges. Both, I think I know he wrote Seven Psychopaths as well as Three Billboards. He does a tremendous job writing-wise and directing-wise. So looking forward to seeing what he does in the future. And this one had a really good supporting cast in here too. John Hawkes, trying to remember who else, Peter Dinklage. But yeah, this one was one of my favorite movies of the year. Probably top 5 for me. Absolutely love this one. And I still do plan to do my top 10 movies of 2017 list. There's still a couple I want to see, especially some international movies. But the one movie that I haven't seen yet from the U.S. that I want to see before I make this list was Phantom Thread. And I like P.T. Anderson and Daniel Day-Lewis, both tremendous. However, I felt like the concept of that film, from the trailers, it seems like it's going to be a really boring movie. The concept just seems boring to me. He's a fashion designer, and he gets angry sometimes, and maybe has an affair. I can't really, that's what I'm deciphering from the trailer. It just looks kind of like it's going to be very dramatic pacing, and I mean, I expect good acting, great acting from Daniel Day-Lewis, and great directing, and great cinematography, and all that. But yeah, it's one of those ones where the trailer hasn't drawn me in. I've heard great things about the film, but that's one of the things that's really kind of like, maybe kind of put it off for a little bit. But I do want to watch that movie and give it a fair chance before I make that list. And I know there's probably a bunch of people on here who are like, just going crazy at how great that movie is. I get it. But the concept just doesn't really jump out to me. But I do want to make that top 10 list soon. I know I've been saying that for a while, but Three Billboards is definitely on the list. And again, expect my list to have a few horror movies on there as well. And I do want to say, I've wanted to ask this, I want to do a whole video on this. How do you guys decide what movies are from what year? Like, there was a movie that was released in like Mexico in like December 2016, but wasn't released in the US until 2017. Do you consider that a 2016 or 17 movie? I mean, there's a lot of these international films right now that are up for best foreign movie of the year, and they're probably not going to get released here in the U.S. until this year, even though they came out in 2017 in other countries. So the Academy considers them 2017 movies, even though in the U.S. we probably won't get a chance to see them until 2018 now. So let me know, which year would you consider it? The year that it came out in another country, or the year that it comes out in our country? Let me know, because I'm curious about that. There's certain times where I feel like, obviously, if it's a foreign film and it's nominated for Best Foreign Movie of 2017, it should be a 2017 movie, even though we might not be able to get a release for it here until 2018, whether that be theatrically or physical media, Blu-ray, DVD, or streaming or whatever. I don't know. Let me know what you think about that. That's something that's kind of has me conflicted on a couple movies. There's like 2 movies in particular that might make I know one will make my top 10 for sure, but I don't know whether to put it on 2016 or 2017 because of that kind of issue. Let me know. I digress. Next up is Goodbye, Christopher Robin. And it's funny because there's another, I think it's just called Christopher Robin movie coming out this year from Disney, which looks really good with Ewan McGregor and a few other people, recognizable cast. This one right here is more of a origin story of Christopher Robin, and then the director, A.A. Milne, and has the stunning Margot Robbie in here, and Domhnall Gleeson. I really like the nurse in here. She was excellent. And the little kid was good too. But overall, it felt a little bit wooden. It felt like a lot of people were raving about this movie. And I don't know, the ending definitely had some really good dramatic and emotion going on. Definitely evoked emotion. But the rest of the movie to me just didn't really have that. I didn't really care a lot about the cast and the characters. And I would have liked to have seen the actual, Winnie the Pooh and Eeyore and Piglet and Tigger and all that, Owl. And I would like to see them in their forms that we remember, that I remember at least from as a kid. They didn't really go over that design too much. They showed like basic stuff of them and the stuffed animals they were based on. But it's basically about A.A. Milne and how he bases it off of his young son and his stuffed animals and their adventures, I guess one spring in the woods by their house. And yeah, it's basically about that, and then how the kid is sent off to a school, and basically his whole life he's picked on because he's Christopher Robin's, and as a kid he was basically the most famous kid, and he would do all these different public appearances, and he would get tons of fan mail, and it just kind of basically saying that it ruined his life, ruined his childhood and his upbringing, and but the ending was very touching, and I definitely loved the aspect with the nurse. But yeah, the parents didn't seem too caring towards the kid. The father comes around, the mother seemed awful. The performances were good for what they had to work with, I'm assuming. And I know this director, Simon Curtis, he did My Weekend with Marilyn as well. But yeah, to me, this one, I don't know if I'd want to watch it again, honestly. I liked the ending. It definitely had the emotional drama elements that I wanted the whole time. That was the best part to me. And I thought the actress who played the nurse was really good, and then the actress who played young Christopher Robin was really good too. But it's funny because when I was a kid, I looked just like that. I had that same kind of like bowl cut kind of thing going on. And I was like, oh man. It made me think of that. But yeah, Christopher Robin, a lot of people seem to enjoy it. I just wanted more from it, especially for 3/4 of the movie. But I did like the ending of it. Next up is Battle of the Sexes, and this is directed by Valerie Faris and Jonathan Dayton, who did Little Miss Sunshine, which I was not a fan of. I know everybody loved that movie. I just wasn't. It was one of those kind of quirky hipster kind of movies. And this one right here, it seems like the casting is kind of curious to me. But Steve Carell, at first when I heard he was cast for it, I was like, what? But then he kind of has that look down for it was Billie Jean King versus Bobby Riggs, and Emma Stone is in here too. Emma Stone, I like Emma Stone. Obviously, I think she's very attractive. You've got Sarah Silverman in here, a bunch of other recognizable people. But yeah, this one to me, I haven't seen this one. I'm gonna watch it soon. But it's based off that you know, famous tennis match back in the day, the 70s. And I know ESPN did a kind of a documentary special kind of on it. And I watched some of that, and holy moly, it seemed super thrown by Bobby Riggs. They actually showed footage of the match, and there seemed to be like certain ones where it was so blatant that he was throwing the match. It seemed like he wasn't even trying. He just like let balls go. He was like swinging nowhere near the ball. It was just like, come on. I don't know how more blatant you can be, but Billie Jean King was interviewed now, and she was talking about how he didn't throw it. He was just worn out and tired. I wore him down. It obviously did not seem that way to me. I don't know. I know his son was on here. Bobby Riggs' son was on here, and they was talking about, you know, mob connections and how he owed people money, and you know, a lot of people were saying that he threw the match. To me, it definitely seemed that way just from the footage, and you know, how he was supposed to be this great tennis star, and you see him missing shots that are just seemed like anybody could have made. So that was a big thing to me. So to me, I don't think they're gonna add too much to the storyline that we don't already know. I guess this is more for people who weren't really aware of the story. I've heard about the story for a while, and when I watched that documentary, I thought it was pretty insightful, and I think that probably is gonna give more depth than this would. I think this is just kind of a glossy kind of thing about, you know, the people themselves and then the time period. But I'm looking forward to checking it out. And I noticed that these directors utilize that yellow color a lot. Little Miss Sunshine, and then right here on the cover for this, and I think something else they did too had that same kind of thing. But looking forward to checking it out. I'm going to give it a fair chance. And then last but not least on here is Homeland, which I haven't seen this show at all. This is the complete 6th season. This is on Showtime, and it's won some Emmys apparently. Emmy Award-winning drama series, and I've heard great things about this. It's funny because I remember Claire Danes from the old TV show that was on MTV, My So-Called Life, and who knew Jared Leto would become such a great actor. But I used to love that show. That Halloween special was amazing to me. And you've also got Mandy Patinkin, who is Inigo Montoya from Princess Bride. My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. Such a great nostalgic childhood movie, but I digress. This is she's, I believe, a CIA agent. I'm trying to read on here, but yeah, she's a CIA agent, and I think she supposedly has something wrong with her, and she's trying to find out some terrorists and stuff like that. But President-elect battles the CIA during her transition to power. So I guess that's what this season is about. There's a bunch of twists and turns, edge of your seat suspense. So I guess I'm going to jump into season 6 here and check out some of the episodes. This is a 3-disc set that includes all 12 episodes. And I love that these all have the slipcovers. I think that's a lot of, if you're a physical media collector, I think, you know, you appreciate the extra added little touches on there, and slipcovers included, the foil effect there. But there you go. Let me know what you think of these titles. Which one was your favorite out of all these? I'm looking forward to revisiting a couple of them, and especially 3 Billboards. That one just blew me the heck away. And I'm going to check out the special features on Murder on the Orient Express, because it looks like it has some interesting ones on here. Agatha Christie one is what I want to check out. It's an intimate portrait. And you've got some commentary and deleted scenes. Let's talk about Hercule Poirot. And then on here, I kind of do want to revisit this one to check out the scenery and cinematography and stuff like that. And there you go. Battle of the Sexes is what I'm probably going to watch next out of this bunch. And then probably some Homeland, and then 3 Billboards, because I freaking love that movie. Let me know what your favorite movie of 2017 is as well. Leave me some comments down below. Hope everybody's doing well. And what do you think of this red box of mystery? I was pretty souped on it. Hope everybody's doing well again. Take care.